Billy Maxwell, the wealthy CEO of Brew Haven, built his cafe chain from the ground up. But as his business expanded, he unknowingly grew distant from the heart of his company, his employees. Wanting to see beyond reports and numbers, he decides to go undercover as a regular customer at one of his locations. What begins as a simple visit turns into a life-changing experience when he meets Jake, a hardworking waiter who unknowingly shares an unfiltered perspective on the company. While Jake praises Brew Haven, he also reveals a painful truth. Employees feel unseen, unappreciated, and disconnected from management. Billy, deeply moved, realizes he has lost touch with the people who truly make his business thrive. As emotions rise and identities are revealed, Billy faces a defining moment. Will he ignore the truth or step up as a leader who listens? What happens next not only changes Jake's life, but also reshapes the future of Brew Haven. Before we dive into this inspiring story, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share to support the channel. Billy Maxwell sat in his sleek office on the top floor of his company's headquarters, staring at the financial reports on his desk. His cafe chain, Brew Haven, was thriving, with dozens of locations spread across the city. Profits were soaring, customers loved the ambience, and on paper, everything seemed perfect. Yet, something nagged at him, a feeling that he had lost touch with the heart of his business. Billy had built Brew Haven from the ground up, pouring his passion into every detail. But as the company expanded, he became more of a distant figure, relying on reports and managers to oversee daily operations. He wondered if his employees truly felt valued or if they saw him as just another corporate figure who only cared about numbers. One evening, while scrolling through online reviews, Billy came across a comment that struck a chord. The cafe has great coffee, but it's the staff that truly makes this place special. I just wish they got the recognition they deserve. That was all the confirmation he needed. Billy decided to step out of his executive bubble and see things for himself. But he couldn't just walk into one of his cafes as the CEO. He needed to blend in, to observe without the weight of his title influencing how people acted around him. The next morning, he ditched his tailored suit for a simple hoodie and jeans. He left behind his expensive car and took the subway like an ordinary worker. For the first time in years, he felt like just another customer. He chose a Brew Haven location in a quieter part of town, one he hadn't visited in years. As he pushed open the glass door, the familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee and warm pastries wrapped around him. The place was bustling with morning customers, the air filled with quiet chatter and the hum of the espresso machines. Billy took a seat in the corner, unnoticed, and watched as the employees moved about. He saw their hurried steps, their polite smiles, the way they handled impatient customers with patience. These were the people who made his business run, yet how many of them even knew his name? A young waiter, no older than his mid-20s, approached with a warm smile. His name tag read Jake. "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you today?" Billy glanced at the menu, though he already knew it by heart. "I'll have a black coffee and a blueberry muffin." "Great choice. I'll be right back with that." As Jake walked away, Billy leaned back, listening to the conversations around him. He was about to learn what his employees really thought of him, and he wasn't sure he was ready for it. Billy watched as Jake moved effortlessly between tables, balancing trays and exchanging friendly words with customers. He wasn't just taking orders, he was building relationships, making people feel welcome. Billy had always hoped that Brew Haven would be more than just another coffee shop. He wanted it to be a place where people felt at home. And in Jake, he saw someone who truly embodied that vision. A few minutes later, Jake returned with Billy's order, carefully placing the steaming cup of coffee and the muffin in front of him.
"Here you go, sir."
"Let me know if you need anything else," Jake said with a smile. Billy nodded, taking a sip of his coffee. It was perfect, just as he had envisioned when he first opened his cafes years ago. He decided to strike up a conversation. "You seem to really enjoy your job," Billy said casually. Jake chuckled, leaning slightly against the back of the empty chair across from Billy. "I do. It's not just about serving coffee. It's about the people. Some customers come in here every day, and we're like a small family." Billy smiled. That's nice to hear. But tell me, how do you feel about working here? The management, the owner, what's it like? Jake hesitated for a moment, as if debating whether to be completely honest. Then he let out a small sigh. I love this place, he admitted, but honestly, sometimes it feels like we don't really matter. Don't get me wrong. My manager is great, but upper management? The owner? We never see them. It's like we're just numbers to them. We work hard, but it's rare to feel appreciated. A simple thank you from the top would go a long way. Billy felt his throat tighten. He had built Brew Haven with passion, yet here was one of his best employees feeling unseen. What if the owner were listening to you right now? Billy asked, trying to keep his voice neutral. Jake gave a small laugh, shaking his head. I'd say I respect his vision, but I wish he knew us, not just as employees, but as people. We have bills, dreams, struggles. We pour our energy into making this place special, but sometimes it feels like we're invisible. Billy swallowed hard. He had expected some criticism, but hearing it firsthand was different. Jake wasn't angry or resentful, just honest. I hope he hears you someday, Billy said, his voice quieter than before. Jake smiled. Yeah, me too. As Jake walked away to attend to another table, Billy sat in silence, his heart heavier than before. He had come to observe, but instead, he had been given a wake-up call. Billy sat in stunned silence, staring at his untouched coffee. Jake's words echoed in his mind. We work hard, but it's rare to feel appreciated. Sometimes it feels like we're invisible. Was this how all his employees felt? Had he really become so distant that the people keeping his business alive believed he didn't care? Billy had always thought he was running Brew Haven well, expanding locations, increasing revenue, and keeping customers happy. But what was the cost of success if his employees, the heartbeat of his company, felt unrecognized? He knew what he had to do. A few minutes later, he called Jake back over. Hey, can I ask you something? Jake smiled. Of course. Billy took a deep breath, then slowly pulled out his wallet. He placed his business card on the table, sliding it toward Jake. The young waiter glanced down at it, and within seconds, his expression shifted from confusion to shock. You're Billy Maxwell, he stammered, eyes widening. You're the CEO? Billy nodded, his throat tight with emotion. I am. And I just want to say thank you. Jake's face went pale. Oh man, I didn't mean any disrespect. I was just being honest. Please, Billy held up a hand to stop him.
No, Jake.
Don't apologize. You just gave me one of the most honest, heartfelt insights I've ever received about my own company. And I needed to hear it. Jake swallowed, still looking stunned. You're not mad? Billy shook his head, his voice thick with emotion. Not at all. In fact, I'm grateful. What you said hit me hard because you're right. I've been distant. I let the business grow, but I forgot to stay connected to the people who make it run. And that's on me. Jake let out a small breath of relief, but Billy wasn't done. I want to change that, starting now, Billy continued. First, I want to recognize you, not just for your honesty, but for the way you treat people. You embody everything Brew Haven is supposed to stand for, and that means a lot to me. Jake's eyes widened. Wait, what does that mean? Billy smiled. It means you're getting a promotion. How would you feel about becoming an assistant manager? More pay, more responsibility, but most importantly, a chance to help make sure every employee here feels heard. Jake's jaw dropped. Are you serious? Completely, Billy said. And that's just the beginning. I'm going to start visiting every cafe personally. I want to hear from every employee, learn their stories, and make sure no one feels invisible again. Jake's eyes glistened as he blinked rapidly, clearly overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Billy smiled, feeling a lump in his throat. Just say yes. Jake let out a shaky laugh, nodding.
Yes.
1,000 times yes. As they shook hands, the other employees and customers in the cafe watched in curiosity, unaware that a simple conversation had just changed everything. Billy had walked into his own cafe Undercover, but he was leaving as a different kind of boss, the kind who truly saw his people. And for the first time in years, he knew he was on the right path.